Welcome to Audiobook Insights channel. In this video, we will listen to the book He Comes Next by Kerner. He Comes Next is a thoughtful and comprehensive guide to understanding and enhancing male sexual pleasure. Dr. Kerner delves into the male's sexual psyche, offering practical techniques and insights that go beyond mere physical gratification to create deeper emotional and sexual connections. In this book, you'll discover the nuances of male sexual desire, including how to break away from bad habits and enhance intimacy. Kerner explains the importance of emotional connection, the power of fantasy, and how to take a holistic approach to intimacy. This ensures a more fulfilling and profound sexual experience for both partners. By applying the techniques in He Comes Next, listeners can learn to create deeper connections, reignite passion, and achieve more satisfying sexual relationships. This book is an invaluable resource for anyone looking to enhance their intimate life and build stronger, more passionate connections. Introduction. In this sequel to the hugely popular and indispensable book, She Comes First, we turn our attention to the male's sexual appetite and how to satisfy it in the best possible way. Dr. Kerner doesn't beat around the bush, so to speak. He details the precise ways in which you can undo the bad habits of self-gratification that many men have picked up, and give them a mind-blowing experience. No one wants to have bad sex, but many men have likely never experienced just how great sex can be once they give up control, take the focus off the male member, and relax. So dive in and find out how you can reignite passionate sparks, feel a deeper connection to your partner, and get the most out of your sex life. A new approach to male sexual satisfaction. Dr. Kerner's latest book delves deep into understanding the intricacies of male sexual pleasure, moving beyond the traditional focus on the physical aspects of sex. He emphasizes the importance of mental and emotional connection, highlighting how these elements can significantly enhance the overall sexual experience. Undoing bad habits. One of the key themes of the book is breaking free from the bad habits that many men have developed over the years. Self-gratification practices, often rooted in quick and goal-oriented satisfaction, can create unrealistic expectations and detract from the richness of partnered sexual experiences. Dr. Kerner provides practical advice and techniques to help men unlearn these habits and embrace a more fulfilling approach to sex. The power of letting go. A crucial part of improving male sexual satisfaction is learning to let go of control. Many men feel pressure to perform or reach a specific outcome, which can lead to anxiety and a less enjoyable experience. Dr. Kerner encourages men to relax and focus on the journey rather than the destination. By doing so, they can discover new dimensions of pleasure and intimacy that they might have previously overlooked. Reigniting passionate sparks. The book also explores ways to reignite the passionate sparks in a relationship. Dr. Kerner suggests that couples take the time to understand each other's desires and preferences. Communication is key. Discussing fantasies, likes, and dislikes can open up new avenues for sexual exploration and satisfaction. This mutual understanding can lead to a deeper connection and a more vibrant sex life. Feeling a deeper connection. Sex is not just a physical act but an emotional and psychological experience. Dr. Kerner emphasizes the importance of feeling a deeper connection with your partner. This involves being present in the moment, showing genuine affection, and being attuned to your partner's needs and responses. By fostering this connection, couples can enhance their sexual experiences and build stronger emotional bonds. Practical tips and techniques. Dr. Kerner provides a wealth of practical tips and techniques designed to enhance male sexual pleasure. From mindfulness exercises to specific sexual practices, the book offers a comprehensive guide to achieving greater satisfaction. These techniques are not just about achieving physical pleasure but also about creating a more intimate and fulfilling sexual relationship. The benefits of a satisfying sex life. A fulfilling sex life has numerous benefits, both individually and for the relationship. It can improve overall happiness, reduce stress, and strengthen the bond between partners. Dr. Kerner's insights aim to help men and their partners unlock these benefits by embracing a more holistic approach to sex. In conclusion, she comes first focused on female sexual satisfaction, and this sequel addresses the other side of the equation. By understanding and applying Dr. Kerner's advice, men can enhance their sexual experiences, build deeper connections with their partners, and enjoy a more satisfying sex life. Whether you're looking to reignite the passion in your relationship or simply want to improve your own sexual satisfaction, this book offers valuable insights and practical advice to help you achieve your goals. So, take the plunge, explore new possibilities, and transform your sex life into an enriching and fulfilling experience. Key Idea 1. The pelvic area is a highly guarded area, both physiologically and psychologically. Keeping the family jewels well protected is an instinctual matter for every guy. If a man wakes up at night and has to cross a dark room filled with potential obstacles, he'll instinctively guard his junk against any painful collisions. He'll do this even if he's half asleep. This instinctual behavior highlights the importance of self-protection, which, along with sexual arousal, is deeply rooted in physiology and instinctive reflexes. Unlike women, a man's genitals protrude outward, making them more vulnerable to external threats. The glans, or head of the penis, is the most physically sensitive part of his body. If the man is uncircumcised, the glans is protected by the foreskin, a bit of tissue that automatically retracts to expose the head of the penis when he's aroused. This protective mechanism helps safeguard one of the most sensitive areas of the male body. Another very sensitive part of the male anatomy is the testicles. These two experience an automatic, physiological reaction during sexual arousal. When a man becomes aroused, his testicles scrunch up closer to the body, providing a degree of protection and aiding in the arousal process. This reflexive movement is another example of how male physiology is designed to protect sensitive areas while facilitating sexual activity. However, when discussing male genital protection, we must also consider the psychological aspects. The shaft of the penis often gets a lot of attention since it fills up with blood to become erect during arousal. For many men, the size and hardness of their penis can be a significant source of psychological strain. This concern persists despite the fact that nearly all women agree men place too much emphasis on penis size. If you find yourself dealing with a man who becomes overly concerned about his penis not being sufficiently big or hard, use this as an opportunity to establish a channel of trust about each other's sexual anxieties and desires. Open communication can help alleviate these concerns. For example, you could reassure him that his penis isn't necessary for you to achieve orgasm and that he should focus less on his size and hardness and more on understanding and stimulating your clitoris or addressing your other desires. Moving further down the male anatomy, we reach the perineum and the anus. Given their location, both are naturally and biologically well protected. Despite this, the taboos surrounding the ass and its various functions can make this area as guarded as Fort Knox. However, it's important to recognize that the anus is full of sensitive and pleasurable nerve endings. In fact, just 2 inches inside the anus is the male G-spot, capable of providing immense sexual gratification when stimulated. The male G-spot, also known as the prostate, can be a source of intense pleasure. Stimulating this area can lead to powerful orgasms and a deeper sexual experience. However, due to societal taboos and misconceptions, many men are hesitant to explore this aspect of their sexuality. Breaking down these barriers and encouraging open-mindedness can lead to a more fulfilling and varied sexual experience. In conclusion, understanding male genital protection and arousal involves both physiological and psychological components. While the physical protection mechanisms are instinctual and deeply ingrained, addressing the psychological aspects requires open communication and trust. By focusing on both the physical and emotional needs of your partner, you can help alleviate anxieties and enhance the overall sexual experience. Embracing the full range of male sexual pleasure, including the often overlooked areas, can lead to a more satisfying and intimate connection. Key idea 2. The sexual difficulties and anxieties of men are perpetuated by being far too penis-centric. It's not just the gazillion nerve endings located in the pelvic area that can make a man protective of what's going on below the waist. His sexual response, or arousal, can also be a highly fraught subject. Some men carry anxieties that can be traced all the way back to his teenage years, when embarrassing erections could occur at the most unwanted of times. Unfortunately, these male anxieties and difficulties with sex are perpetuated by the intercourse discourse, which is the misguided idea that sex is all about the penis and penetration. And where do we see this idea of sex displayed most distinctly? Porn, of course. The problem with porn can be that it feeds into bad masturbation habits. Rather than focusing on the buildup of fantasy and desire, many men use readily available porn clips to cut straight to the chase when self-pleasuring. This way they hardwire themselves for rapid ejaculation and set themselves up for future sexual failures. Another obstacle to good sex is Viagra, the erectile dysfunction drug that has created unrealistic expectations of sexual performance in the minds of countless men. Viagra is the most popular drug in a line of pharmaceuticals that have preyed upon male anxieties about the ideal firmness and duration of their erections. Therefore, in an ironic twist, the booming market for these medications has only heightened the anxieties that lead to erectile dysfunction in the first place. All of this is great for big pharma and bad for sex. Because penises, like most things, don't respond well to pressure. So it's much more helpful to have a holistic and thoughtful approach to sex that takes into account the psychological factors and the relationship as a whole. As we'll see in the next part, the current stage of a relationship can affect the sex. Key idea 3. Desire is the key to keeping sex interesting and fresh. Generally speaking, all relationships go through 3 stages: lust, romantic love, and attachment. The first 2 stages are fueled by key biochemicals like dopamine and norepinephrine, the natural hormones in the body that significantly contribute to arousal. The third stage of attachment is still fueled by biochemicals, but these help promote feelings of comfort between the couple. While this is very natural and commonplace, the sex during the attachment phase can cause problems by being very routine in comparison to the passion of the first 2 stages. It raises the question, how do we avoid the fate of so many other couples who enter the third stage only to break up, cheat, or complain about having a boring sex life? The answer is actually rather straightforward: keep the desire alive. More than anything else, it is desire that keeps sex satisfying and fulfilling. When the author conducted a survey, most men said that the best sex they'd ever had was with their current long-term partner. However, it usually happened at the very beginning of the relationship, and the reason wasn't about any fancy positions or anything like that. It was all about the desire they felt for their partner at that time. This is what made the sex, as the men often put it, so hot and wild. So, how do you restore desire? By avoiding predictability. The men who spoke of hot and wild sex often accompanied this term with words like spontaneous, new, exciting, uncontrollable, and even dangerous. These descriptions align with the research Helen Fisher has conducted. In her book, Why We Love, the biological anthropologist describes how our brain produces more dopamine, a natural amphetamine, in a way, during the period of infatuation. This type of research suggests that sexual boredom is usually one of the first 2 reasons why a couple's sex life hits the dumps. To combat this boredom, try incorporated elements of novelty, surprise, and mystery to reignite those early feelings of desire. For some specific tips, let's check out the next part. Key idea 4. You can increase sexual pleasure by making fantasy part of foreplay. Everyone has sexual fantasies from time to time, right? Nevertheless, according to numerous studies and the author's own clinical experience, many are ashamed of their sexual fantasies and tend to repress them as a result. This is unfortunate since there are also studies that show how beneficial a healthy sexual imagination can be. It's perfectly common and normal to fantasize during sex, even if your erotic scenario doesn't happen to involve the person you're with. An active and exciting fantasy world is something that partners can easily use to spice up a sex life that may have grown stale and routine. Therefore, you can think of imagination as an ever-ready key to sparking desire and arousal. This is just one reason partners should encourage a healthy sexual fantasy world. Another is the fact that neuroscience has shown that the process of fantasizing, which is similar to how we dream, can stimulate the brain in a way that relaxes the body. In other words, by indulging in fantasy, we can calm our anxieties and promote deep relaxation, all of which will lead to better sex. One of the best ways to incorporate fantasy into your sex life is to make it part of the foreplay that occurs before your clothes come off, or even before you get to the bedroom. Your sex life is bound to improve when you stop limiting foreplay to just being an act of physical stimulation before intercourse begins. This definition only serves to perpetuate the faulty idea that intercourse has to be the ultimate goal, which is a needlessly predictable and unimaginative approach to sex. So, starting today, you can broaden your idea of foreplay to include the exploration of fantasies as a way of sparking desire. Then, you can gradually take it to the next level and heighten the desire and anticipation even more by acting out or stimulating each other's fantasies. Exhibitionism can also play a part in these fantasies, like getting frisky in the back seat of a taxi or performing a little striptease in a department store dressing room. Key idea 5. Great sex requires an emotional connection and a willingness to slow things down. When the author is counseling men who complain about being sexually bored, they'll often say that their relationship is missing an emotional connection. If this sounds familiar, don't give up hope yet. By committing yourself to bringing intimacy back into your daily lives, it's entirely possible to restore the emotional connection in your relationship. You can start by making sure you truly hug and embrace each other at least 3 times a day. Make it your daily ritual to hug in the morning before heading off to work, when you're both home after work and before going to sleep. And these shouldn't be quick and polite hugs. You should embrace until you feel the warm sensation that comes with making an emotional connection. Another tip for restoring a broken connection is to maintain eye contact during sex. There's a reason why the missionary position has remained so popular. It's because partners can easily maintain eye contact and stay emotionally connected. Now, aside from the emotional connection, another key to great sex is to slow down the man's arousal. A lot of men are wired to achieve a quick and easy orgasm. So the more you can slow down the arousal process, the better the experience will be. You can do this by touching, teasing and building up the excitement without resorting to genital stimulation. Shoulder, back and foot massages, kisses on the neck and nipples, as well as sucking on fingers or toes, are all ways to make a man feel amazing relaxation and arousal. Remember, relaxation is key to arousal, so it's important to explore ways to calm him down and not just turn him on. When stressed or anxious, the body enters a flight or fight response that sends blood into the limbs, away from the genitals and removing any chance of an erection. But relaxation does the opposite. Any massage therapist with enough experience will have a tale of male clients who've gotten a spontaneous erection from being so perfectly relaxed. Key idea 6. For amazing orgasms, move from local to global arousal. Women aren't the only ones who experience different levels of orgasm. Men can also achieve what's known as a local orgasm, which is focused solely on the penis, or an expansive, global orgasm, which accompanies a full-bodied response. In other words, a man can come, or he can come really hard. But for this to happen, you need to expand away from just stimulating the penis and embrace a more holistic, or global, approach to sex. With this in mind, here are some tips for thinking and acting globally. Get him fully naked. This not only exposes him to more physical sensations, but he'll also be more psychologically vulnerable and open to receiving more pleasure. The next tip is to tie him up. When bound, a man can enjoy the increased pleasure that comes with releasing control and remaining passive while his partner directs the action. In this scenario, his entire body becomes a playground, open to exploration. The third tip is blindfolding, which can be a great help in allowing a man to become more attuned to feeling globally rather than locally. It also adds the unique experience of anticipation and surprise to the proceedings. The final tip is to add a full-body massage. This will promote the release of vasopressin, the so-called monogamy hormone, which contributes to feelings of security, comfort and calmness, as well as that sought-after emotional connection. When working toward direct genital stimulation, keep the global feelings alive by moving slowly in a teasing way. You can do this using your hands, mouth, or vulva, though the best results for a female partner will probably be a combination of all three. But remember, keep the pace slow and the strokes gentle, exploratory, and non-rhythmic. A great way to achieve a global sensation is to stimulate the upper and lower body simultaneously. This will get a wide variety of nerve endings going and provide double the amount of erotic anticipation, especially when the penis is eventually brought into play. In the next part, we'll get into more detail about some hands-on techniques. Key idea 7. Mind-blowing sex starts with pleasing, squeezing, and taking it easy. It's logical to think that a man will likely know how to pleasure himself, right? But you might be wondering, what goes on during male masturbation? The first stage is known as filling, which gets the blood flowing with non-rhythmic stimulation. This is followed by rhythmic stroking, which increases in pace and intensity until the plateau phase is reached. This is followed by the stage known as ejaculatory inevitability, which is basically the point of no return. When orgasmic contractions begin, and the semen is released, he would likely keep a tight grip to make the sensation more intense and complete the ejaculation. However, as his partner, your intent should be to help him reach all of these stages and more. But for this to happen, you need to be attuned to his feelings and know the precise time to apply the right kind of stimulation. In other words, you need to know when to please, squeeze, and be at ease. During the first stage, when the penis is getting erect, focus on gently touching the entire genital area. You can work your way up to applying deeper pressure with your fingertips as you take the shaft and squeeze it from different positions. While doing this, make sure to give attention to the most sensitive part of the penis, the frenulum, which is the underside area of the shaft located just below the glans. Another great tip is to use the mouth unpredictably and avoid actual sucking. Instead, you'll find good results by adding an occasional long lick up the shaft, as if it were an ice cream cone, as well as some gentle use of the teeth. Pleasure and sexual anticipation can also be increased for both partners by using his penis to stimulate and rub the clitoris. But after each of these pleasing techniques, remember to give a squeeze of his glans. This will push the blood down from the sensitive tip of the penis, thereby decreasing the likelihood of prematurely reaching that stage of ejaculatory inevitability. If, by chance, he does get too excited, follow the squeeze with an at ease. Like it sounds, this involves taking a break from genital stimulation and moving to another area of his body for some kissing and caressing. Key idea 8. To make your man come super hard, keep him at the plateau phase for as long as possible. The secret to giving a man a mind-blowing orgasm is to build and expand sexual tension throughout his body. And this means keeping him in the plateau phase, where his mind and body are on the edge of total surrender, for as long a time as possible. So, to build up that tension, use your hands to increase the pace of rhythmic stroking while decreasing the periods of non-rhythmic stimulation. This is best done with a simple grasp and clasp technique, which alternates between long, firm strokes and short ones that are focused on the frenulum, that part directly under the glands. To take it up another notch, use your mouth to form a seal over the glands while still maintaining a firm grip on his shaft. Now you can bob your head, lick the frenulum, and take in as much of the penis as you're comfortable with. Unless your man no longer has a pulse, the stage should also be set for intercourse. But just because it's time for intercourse, doesn't mean you should give up control. To give him the best orgasm possible, don't let him take control of rhythm. Instead, use his penis as you would a vibrator or dildo and dictate the angles and gyrations. You can tell him, "Don't worry, you'll come, but not until I come first." When you have him at the moment before orgasmic inevitability, bring him back to the plateau, again and again, until you're completely satisfied. If your man isn't in the position to tell you he's about to reach the point of no return, you can recognize it as the moment his body reaches a point of maximum tension. This is the moment to hit the brakes and ease him away from the edge of ecstasy. But when you've had your fill, and it's time for him to climax, you can step on the gas and speed things up. What's important here is to continue the stimulation throughout the orgasm and to keep your emotional connection entwined through to the last drop. Final summary. Liberating male sexual potential. For many men, their sexual organ is a source of both pleasure and stress. They instinctively protect what's below their belt, both physically and psychologically. This combination of stress and layers of protection can easily lead men into a lifetime of bad or barely satisfying sex. To reach their full sexual potential, men need help to liberate themselves from being overly focused on their penises. By doing so, they can experience full-body orgasms and reach new heights of ecstasy. Understanding the source of stress. The penis, being the most prominent part of male anatomy, often becomes the focal point of sexual anxiety. Concerns about size, performance, and endurance can dominate a man's thoughts, overshadowing the potential for a more holistic sexual experience. This preoccupation with the penis not only limits the pleasure men can derive from sex but also creates unnecessary stress that can inhibit sexual performance. Physical and psychological protection. Men's instinct to protect their genitals is deeply rooted in both physiology and psychology. Physically, the sensitive nature of the penis and testicles makes them vulnerable to injury, prompting men to guard these areas instinctively. Psychologically, societal expectations and personal insecurities about sexual performance further contribute to a protective stance that can be detrimental to sexual fulfillment. Breaking free from penis-centric focus. To help men achieve their full sexual potential, it's essential to shift the focus from the penis to the entire body. This involves understanding that sexual pleasure is not confined to one area but is a full-body experience. Encouraging men to explore other erogenous zones and to be more attuned to their overall bodily sensations can lead to more satisfying sexual encounters. The path to full-body orgasms. Achieving full-body orgasms requires men to let go of the narrow focus on their genitalia. Here are some steps that can help in this journey. Mindfulness and relaxation. Practicing mindfulness can help men become more aware of their entire body during sexual activity. Techniques such as deep breathing and meditation can reduce anxiety and enhance the overall sensory experience. Exploring erogenous zones. Men should be encouraged to explore different parts of their bodies. Areas such as the neck, nipples, inner thighs, and perineum can provide immense pleasure when stimulated. This exploration can lead to the discovery of new sources of arousal and pleasure. Communication with partners. Open communication with sexual partners is crucial. Discussing likes, dislikes, and fantasies can create a more trusting and intimate relationship. Partners can work together to explore different techniques and areas of stimulation. Emotional connection. Building a strong emotional connection with a partner can enhance sexual pleasure. Emotional intimacy often translates into more profound physical intimacy, making the sexual experience more fulfilling. Overcoming societal taboos. Many men are hesitant to explore areas such as the anus due to societal taboos. However, the male G-spot, located just inside the anus, can provide intense pleasure. Overcoming these taboos and exploring this area can lead to new levels of sexual satisfaction, reaching new heights of ecstasy. When men liberate themselves from the singular focus on their penises, they open the door to a richer, more varied sexual experience. Full-body orgasms are not just about physical pleasure but also about the emotional and psychological release that comes with it. By embracing a more holistic approach to sex, men can experience deeper levels of ecstasy and connection with their partners. Conclusion. To reach their full sexual potential, men need to shift their focus from their penises to their entire bodies. By breaking free from the constraints of penis-centric anxiety and exploring the full range of their body's capabilities, men can achieve greater sexual satisfaction. This journey involves mindfulness, exploration, communication, and overcoming societal taboos. Ultimately, it's about embracing the full spectrum of sexual pleasure and experiencing the profound joy that comes with it.